Hello everybody, Tony East here with Forbes after Pacers Raptors. Pacers game number 14 of this young season. Much to discuss. Pacers lose. They cannot sweep their back-to-back and get back to 500. 131-119 to final. Might have been 130-119. Doesn't matter. Pacers lost by double digits to the Raptors, who did not have Scotty Barnes or Emmanuel Quickley in this game. And yet, the Pacers may have felt that they were more shorthanded. At the top end talent, Pacers certainly won that fight, and that's probably why they walk away disappointed with this result. Haliburton, Siakam, certainly the two on paper best players in this game. But the back end, the Pacers relying on all three of their two-way guys. Tristan Newton made his NBA debut. Quentin Jackson played often. Enrique Freeman started for the Pacers, and that's where this game starts when discussing it for the Pacers. Not because this is why they lost, but because it's a relevant factor in all the analysis of everything else that happened in the game. The Pacers were down 5 rotation players. Isaiah Jackson, already been out for a while. James Wiseman, his backup, obviously gone. Ben Shepherd out for the first time with an oblique injury. Miles Turner out after playing very well Sunday night. He has a calf injury, and that does not even account for Andrew Nembhard or Aaron Nesmith, who have also been out for a bit. I mean, it's stacking up. Too much for the Pacers to overcome. They're just down too many bodies right now. And so they started Enrique Freeman at the 5, and Johnny Furphy's a backup on the wing, and Jarris Walker's starting. Quentin Jackson's playing big minutes. Don't get me wrong. Quentin Jackson has played well this year, and Johnny Furphy made a 3 in this game and looked totally acceptable at times, right? They got good play. Enrique Freeman's energy looks great. Those guys are still rookies or substandard rotation every night players in the NBA. They're learning. They might get there. But right now, that's already a thing. And that doesn't even account for the fact that them playing as much as they are means that the Pacers are playing 5-man lineups that have never or very rarely played together for a lot of the game. So it's hard for them to really get going. Go on a run. Look like a very threatening team for extended stretches of a game like this. And the two players who I think are the most immune to the surrounding talent because they can kind of score when the game is cooked up and slowed down, did have good games. Benedict Mathurin was awesome late. He almost willed the Pacers to a comeback. They got it from, 16 all the way down to 7. Had a chance to cut it to 4 with an open corner 3, and it didn't happen. Mathurin was sensational late in this game as he had 28 points, 5 boards, 2 assists on 10 for 16 shooting. And Pascal Siakam was great early, going for 25 points and 10 boards and 5 assists. He had a bunch of offensive rebounds on the first couple possessions, putting back his own misses. Those two, 53 combined points, pretty efficient, gave the Pacers a lot in a lot of minutes. They were good. Everybody else could have been a little better. And 2 bench guys were pretty good too that maybe didn't need to be better, but that's a problem for the Pacers, that those 2 were so great. The rest of their starting 5 combined really had off nights. Jarris Walker, 2 for 7. Enrique Freeman, 1 for 4. Tyrese Haliburton, 5 for 18. That is a combined 8 for 29 from the field. Walker looked kind of lost at times tonight, a little bit lazy with some passes. Freeman was just totally overmatched by Jakob Poeltl. And Haliburton, the first 2 guys obviously matter. They started and played big minutes. Haliburton just got to be more efficient than that. 16 points on 18 shots isn't going to cut it. 3 for 9 on 2s, 2 for 9 on 3s. Just not good enough. Quite simply not good enough. And he's made up for nights like that at times this season with good passing or more effective distributing. In this game, only 4 assists. Right? Now, he did some good stuff. 5 steals and 2 blocks is phenomenal from Haliburton. In fact, I bet 7 is close to his career high in stocks for a game. Only 1 turnover, right? He wasn't just useless. But if he's not making shots, he's just a totally different player. And he did not make shots in this game. So the starters outside of those 2 guys that I mentioned at the top weren't very good. And on the bench, Obi Toppin was very good. He had some defensive struggles with Poeltl when he was the backup 5. Toppin not starting, I was very intrigued by, but keeping him paired with McConnell was a godsend in this game for the Pacers. Those 2 were great together. Toppin 8 for 13 with 19 points. He had 5 assists as well in this game. Really good Obi Toppin game. They needed him for 31 minutes. That's unbelievable, but underscores their situation at center right now. And then TJ McConnell was plus 23. Nobody else on the Pacers even had a positive plus-minus outside of Quentin Jackson, who played decent minutes. TJ McConnell, 10 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, 5 steals on his way to plus 23. His energy, his speed, his defense was on point. Even though he was 4 for 11, his minutes went sensationally well. So the Pacers had a duo with the starters and the bench look good. Siakam plus Mathurin together was a good group. McConnell plus Toppin together was a good group. Most other mix and matched combos were not where the Pacers needed it to be, and they really needed specific 5-man lineups out there. Quentin Jackson played very well. Great dunk, 4 for 7, 9 points, 3 assists. Furphy made a 3. He was fine. They got okay performances from a lot of guys. Some guys exceeding expectations, but wasn't enough. It just collectively was not enough, even though 119 looks good. And here's why they didn't have enough. They made more threes than the Raptors. They had 13 fewer turnovers. They won the offensive rebounding battles. They sucked at guarding. The Raptors lived in the paint. Jakob Poeltl 30 and 15, 39 and 9 and 5 for R.J. Barrett. They were both dominant in the lane. R.J. Barrett sprinkling in some threes as well. 66 points in the paint for the Raptors. Very, very impressive work from them to do so. But without any true rim protection, without a lot of their best defenders, which is another factor in the Pacers missing, Ben Shepherd, Aaron Nesmith, and Andrew Nembhard is missing a ton of important perimeter defenders. They could not keep anyone out of the paint, and they could not get to the roll man when they could keep someone out of the paint. Their defensive rotations behind the plane weren't very good either. That's a big factor in their loss. The Raptors were also red hot from deep, 48.3% from long range. So the Pacers weren't taking away anything. They weren't taking away anything inside the arc or outside the arc. That just won't cut it. They will not cut it in a game like this that they really needed. So yes, they were down a lot of guys. Injuries a factor in this game for the Pacers, but the Raptors will give them no sympathy. They've been banged up all year, and the Pacers just didn't play well. They just did not play well, particularly on defense, which made it impossible for them to, go on any runs, string together anything. They led for one brief moment at 41-40 in the middle of the second quarter. Immediately, the Raptors go on a big run. The Raptors were up almost 20 points at one point later in that second quarter and up more than 10 by halftime. Pacers, again, had a chance in the fourth to make it really tight, but couldn't quite pull it off. They lost. They're 6-8. A lot going on in Pacers land. They are going to sign Moses Brown to a deal. They need another center pretty badly, given their current injury reality. They're dealing with these injuries. I would wager that Ben Shepherd might miss a couple more. Oblique things don't just go away like that, although maybe he's close to back already. And a muscle injury for Turner after playing 40 minutes. You just never know, right? So having a center is very valuable. That's pretty important. Their schedule for the next 11 games is manageable. They need to manage it. They have a really important homestand next week, and if they can pick up a win or two with Houston and Milwaukee to wrap up this road trip, I think they'd feel happy about where things are headed. But being 6-8 and not playing well, particularly in most of their games this year, can't feel good for the Pacers, especially with how banged up they are right now. They've got to find a way to win. They need their stars to be better. They need to defend better. They might need to change their rotation if these are the available players they have in Houston. And resources are on the way, but that will not solve their problems of lineups being new and not looking as connected. So some work to do for the 6-8 Pacers. Last thing I want to throw in today, because people have been talking about, the 6-8, it's over. The season's over. They're not as good as last year. The Clippers were 4-7 last year and 11th in the West on November 19th. I'm not saying the Pacers are due for a big turnaround, but the Clippers were first in the West on February 6th, right? We've played a good portion of the season here, but it's 1/5 done. Chill out. I'm not saying that the Pacers will play better or that you should feel like they will play better. Take a deep breath. Let's talk at games 20 to 25. If they're still not playing well and they're having the same issues, it's not good. But they've found ways to be 6-8 and really haven't played well all year. They deserve a little bit of credit for finding a way to get that done. They stunk in this one. They've got to be better in Houston Wednesday. We'll break it down here. I want to talk more about Moses Brown on this channel at some point very soon. Thank you all for watching. See you after the next one. Take care.